on 2 salaries.
You got to be Drummond.
2 salaries.
You got to be Drummond.
If they're lucky in downtown Toronto, maybe they can scrape together enough to get a condo. They'll never probably own it. On 2 salaries, and certainly only the Don Drummonds of the world can afford a cottage. My goodness, you have to be wealthy to afford 2 homes.
How do you do that?
In Ontario now. That's in one lifetime, Mr. Speaker. That's how far we've fallen. That's how far behind, the 8 ball we are in this province, and that's on our children's shoulders. Imagine what it will be like for our grandchildren if this trend continues.
Yikes.
In that Occupy movement, another theme that kept coming up again and again was the fact that not only is education profoundly expensive now, but that even with a BA, even with an MA, even sometimes with a doctorate, you can't get a job in your field.
Scary stuff.
So here we are in Ontario, highest tuition fees in Canada, highest student debt in Canada. We should be ashamed, Mr. Speaker, of that. You can't find a job once you get that degree. Well, you could find a job maybe, but it's a MIC job. This is a government that brags about the jobs they've created. That's nothing I'd brag about in the province of Ontario, because we know the jobs they created. We know the jobs they lost, 250,000 or so. Those are good, high-paid manufacturing jobs. We know the jobs that have been replacing those jobs, and they're contract, temporary, part-time, minimum wage. That's nothing to brag about. That's nothing to brag about. This is a time of crisis in our province. This is a time of crisis in our province. It's a crisis on every front. The economy being, of course, where we focus most. Crisis in jobs, a crisis in the economy, a crisis for the 99%. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Most people are 1 salary away from losing their home or their apartment if they're renters. That's the reality of our province, and the jobs are being sent south. They're being sent overseas. They're not being kept here. We're losing our manufacturing base. This is the reality. What we need is political will. We need a government that has political will. Or, hey, the voters sent us back with a mandate. They sent us back with a mandate this time. They said no to a Liberal majority. That's what they said, by the way. They said no to a Liberal majority. They said yes to cooperation, negotiation, working together to actually make life easier for the average person. That was the mandate we were all sent here with, each in our own way, and we don't want a one-party state. None of us do. Please, I hope. Come on. We were sent here with different political perspectives to work together, to bring those ideologies together around a table, to try to figure out where we could agree to make life easier for the average family. Not for Don Drummond. Not for Don Drummond, but to make life easier for the average family. That was the mandate the people, good people, solid people, hard-working people of Parkdale High Park sent me to do. That's the mandate they sent me here with. They said, we're sick of the partisan bickering, we're sick of the brinksmanship and the one-upmanship. What they said was, get together, come together, and work just once for the 99%, not for the 1%, for the 99%. That's what they sent me here with, Mr. Speaker. And they sent me here with a mandate, the one thing we all agree on in my riding, make life more affordable for the average person. Make life more affordable for the small business person. Make life more affordable for the woman making minimum wage or on social assistance. Make life more affordable for the senior. Make life more affordable for the contract teacher. Make life more affordable for the vast majority of Ontarians. Not once, Mr. Speaker, in the entire campaign did somebody say, I want to make life a little richer for my banker. Not once. Not once did I hear that. Did I hear, I would love to take economic advice about my life from a wealthy banker.
You did?
Not once. Not once did they say the person I think really has a handle on the economy.
How many bankers
is a senior banker who will be paid $1,500 a day for his advice. Not once did I hear anything remotely like that. What I heard was, please, please say to everyone there, get together and speak for the 99%. Get together and speak for me. Me. And quite frankly, even those who work in banks, not those who head banks. Those who work in banks, not those who head banks. Those who work in hospitals, not those who head hospitals. Those who work in home care, you heard so eloquently from our new member and from our health critic. We are standing here for them. They're the ones who elected us. And they wonder, they truly do wonder, at why all of a sudden someone who was never elected, someone who never had a vote cast for him that I'm aware of in his life, is now dictating economic policy to our friends across the aisle. They wonder at that, and they also wonder why a government faced with a $16 billion deficit, not to mention a true debt of $1/3 of $1 trillion, is paying someone, said someone who was never elected, $1,500 a day to give them advice. Again, I come back to this. Not once did I hear from any of my folk who are thinking about the holiday season and gift giving that anybody was going to give a gift to their banker. Not once did I hear from my folk that the person that they really, really turn to, and the person they run from is their banker, not turn to is their banker.
That's a good point.
They run from their banker, you know, the one who holds that plastic, you know, that little usury.
The bag.
You know, in biblical times, it was considered a sin, Mr. Speaker, usury.
Which one?
Those interest rate-bearing cards. Not once did they say, I'm going to send a gift to the guy who owns my MasterCard or my Visa. Not once. Not once, because most Ontarians are up to here with debt, and they would like to run from the bearer of that debt. That's what they'd like to run from. And yet here we come to this lovely place. It's a charming place. It's a beautiful place. And here, the person they're running from is a person advising the government on economic policy. We will do our best in the New Democratic Party. We will do our best to represent those who sent us here, the 99% who sent us here, who actually would like to see some collective political will to make their life a little easier. That's all they asked. They didn't ask much. Make my life a little easier. Do something for me. Do something for me. That's what they asked us. They asked each one of us, and each one of us is going to have to return to our riding to face those same people, maybe sooner, maybe later, we don't know. And they're going to say, what did you do for me? And quite frankly, I know that we in the New Democratic Party are committed to saying, this is what we tried to do, and this is what we tried to do, and this is what we tried to do. And I am hoping, I'm sending a wish, it's a Christmas wish.
Grab it, John.
Over to my friends across the aisle.
There we go.
I'm hoping that with their assistance and their help, we can go back and say, this is what we accomplished for you. This is what we did for you. Not just for the Don Drummonds, not just for the bankers, but for everyone. Thank you.
The member from York West.
You're right, Speaker. Thank you very much. Your quick study. In response to the member from Parkdale High Park, Speaker, we are debating the speech from the throne, which is a guide of what the government intends to do in the next year or so. I think we all have to be very